All right, it's week 6, and this is Dr. Ramlow, and we are talking about advanced graphs. So last time we started looking at just kind of the basics of making a graph, different types of graphs. So now we're just going to extend this into more kind of graphical analyses of data, data labels and annotating graphs. Kind of peeked a little bit at that last week, but we're going to talk more about that. Changing legends, creating a secondary axis, which we did last week, but we're going to talk about it more again, just to remind you of how that works. And then we did curve fitting, basically trend lines last week, but we're going to do a little deeper analysis of that. So relatively short because some of it's going to be review from last week. So I'll remind you that the independent variable typically goes on the x-axis. The dependent variable goes on the y. That means that if I adjust the density of a material, that would be on the x-axis. If I saw how that affected the mass, that would be on the y-axis, for instance. Bar and line graphs, also known as column graphs, right, use categorical data on the x-axis, so it's not treated as numerical data, and that means for the most part we're going to be using XY scatter graphs. That's what you'll use in your data analysis note, most probably in your project and in chemistry and physics lab reports, mechanical engineering technology, or GIS, or anything like that, project reports looking at, statics classes or MD3. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about editing graphs to change the range of axes, the color of markers, lines, and bars. Even though we did that last week, it seems that that's something that it helps students if they see it multiple times. So what do we mean by data labels and annotating graphs in Microsoft Excel? Well, we can literally go in and add data labels. It's one of the things that we can add if we go to the plus, right, to add features, right, graphical things, and then we can just add data labels, and then it literally asks us which Y data would you like to have data labels. And then here we can change the data label shapes. We can format it so that it's different text size, different colors, and then we can annotate, which just means that we're going to use some what are really drawing tools in this format area in the ribbon. So we're going to take a peek at those things. So we're going to come over here and look at our data. So here's some of the stuff that we did last time, right? So we're just going to look at this data again, right? We're just going to look at it a little differently. We're just going to look at, say, mass, and, well, look at these things. We're going to come in. We're going to insert a graph. We could do recommended charts. If I do that, right, it gives me a whole bunch of potential options, right? And so I can just go right here, but it's no different really than if I picked what I thought I wanted in the beginning. I don't know why this would default exactly to a column kind of graph. Maybe it's because of the shift data, because it has text, right? But I'm going to go down, I'm going to say XY scatter. Right? I'm just going to have dots, and right now it looks like it has volume and density as my Y, and then for whatever reason radius is not on my X. I don't know why that happens, but that seems to happen a lot. So I can click on OK, and here's my kind of crappy looking graph. Whoops, no, stop. No. There we go. Sometimes drag and drop just isn't all that easy for some reason. So now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to remind you how we do some annotating. So here I'm going to come in to select data. And look, I have all this Y data or X data. It's crazy. And I only have, right, my density data here. And it's, right, so I'm going to come over here and, I don't really want to switch all values. So what happens if I do that? Oh, well, that's pretty hideous. Right, so I'm going to switch it back. All right, I'm going to edit. There's my factored data. There's my density. And then for some reason, this is my x value. Right, and gee, that doesn't, oh, well, no, I guess that is actually my radius data. And then there's that, so that actually looks okay. And then I'm going to add data. So I'm going to, the series name I'm going to add is, oh, what did I have in there? Was it, I'm going to add the volume in there. And then my x, it's going to be these values again. And then my y, I got to get rid of this crazy one thing. And then what did I have? I think it was this one. I'm going to click OK. So now it looks like I have density and volume, right? And I have radius here. I could add mass. Right, so mass, my x is going to be the same. And then my y is going to be, what did I say this one was? C. Oh, it was the mass. I remember now. I'm going to click OK. And click OK. We'll see if it may look kind of crazy. Oh, it does look crazy. Oh, there's something going on. Oh, well, look. It has something to do with my data. So this blue, right, it doesn't look like it has quite the right data. It looks like maybe it's a little more related to something else. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go in and select my data. There's my density. I'm going to edit it. And here's my x values. Oh, well, see, there's my problem, right? It's all of them. And I just want it to be those values. Here, we're just going to go like this. And we'll go. All right. That looks like that's going to be better. Oh, yeah, look. See, those are the numbers that are the radii. I'm going to click on OK. Oh, look, that looks like that makes so much more sense. Right, so just like all the other times, I need to add some chart elements. And I can just go in and actually, right, do primary. I can add them kind of all. Right, and then I can just come in and change them. So this is, let's see, that must be the, looks like the mass. I think it's in grams. And the other thing looks like it's probably volume. Right, cubic centimeters. And then the other thing, this low number, right, that's my density. So I'm going to come in here and right-click on it and put it on my secondary axis. That means that, again, I have to go in and add a title. So I can just go to Axis Titles again. And look, now it has secondary vertical. Come in here. Let's see, and this was my density. Density in grams per cubic centimeter. Right. Oh, I didn't put this down, so this was radius and centimeters. Oh, I didn't have a title to my graph, so there's my chart title. I'm going to put it above, right? And I could call this Factory Data Week 6. Because I don't know what else to call it right now. Oh, look, I don't have a legend, and I need a legend, right? So I can again add chart elements, or remember I can do this shortcut And I can say I want a legend. And now what's this arrow for? It's going to ask me where I want it. I usually like it on the bottom. It looks kind of crappy in other places. I can make this bigger, by the way, if I think things look a little scrunched up. And so there is my axis. Like last time, I could do some changing of my axes. So for instance, maybe I'm gonna change my x-axis because I could do that. So there's my x-axis, and I'm just gonna change it a little bit. So maybe I'm gonna do some trend lines or something, or I don't know, 9, I'm going to make my major axes 0.05 for no good reason, just because I am. And there, oh, look at that, it made it just change. Oh, I don't like the look of that, so I'm going to make it 0.005. Let's see, how does that look? Oh, that looks hideous too. So I can always just, again, play around. That might be a little better. I can change. I can make my graph bigger, right, to spread things out just a little bit. Right now I have data, right? I have nothing here. All my data is in the middle, right? And that may or may not be something I want to do. I can play around and kind of see where I end up. Right? Oh yeah, so we could do some annotation. Almost forgot about that. So that's pretty easy. I can come over here, right, and I can annotate. So I can go over to format, and I see some of the things that, right, I see a lot of times, right? I can format my selection. That just means that I can come right over here, and it allows me, it's kind of like a shortcut. I can, right, maybe make a circle. Maybe I want to look at this data point, right? So, oh, I don't want it to be solid, right? So I want to come in, I want to edit my shape. I'm going to edit my shape. Oh, no, that's the shape type. Oh, there it is. It's just like Word. So I don't want to have any fill, right? Nope. I want no fill. I want it to be red. Text effects. No, I don't want. Oh, no, that's this stuff. Oh, I'm in the wrong place here. Shape fill. No fill. Shape outline. Maybe I want it to be red. Right. And now I'm going to annotate this. Right, so maybe I don't like this. There's something really weird about this particular thing. Whoops. Oh, I have to circle. I'm just going to make something up here. Oop, I think it just adjusted something. All right, so there's my big arrow. Maybe now I'm going to put a little text box in, and I'm going to put my text box here. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to put a question mark maybe, or, right, I'll just say outlier. Oh, I need to stretch my box so that it doesn't look like it's weird. Gonna move it. Right, can do some things with my text, so maybe I want my text to be red. Maybe I want it to be a different font. Maybe I like Times New Roman. Maybe I want it to be bold. So now I have annotated. So there's something weird about this data point for density. Doesn't seem to quite fit in the others. Right? It could be just because my density is so strung out along the secondary y-axis. But I'm not going to worry about that quite yet because this is just, we're just kind of playing. Oh, data labels. Almost forgot to do data labels. So maybe the data labels will help us see what's going on. So I can just click on this, and then I can add an element to those dots, and I'm going to say that I want a data label. Right? And I get a chance to say where I want it, so maybe I want them above. Oh, that's hideous. Maybe I want them below. Oh, that's hideous too. Maybe I want them to the left. No, that's pretty hideous too. maybe I need to format this. So I'm going to go in here, because right now it's in this scientific notation. It's kind of big on my graph, so I can come in here. And I'm going to make it so that it's not scientific. I'm just going to make it a number. And I'm going to have it have 1 decimal place. I can come down here and look at my graph. Look, it changed how my data appeared on my graph. I can come in here. I can make the text smaller. I could even make it smaller than this. I can make it a 6. I could change the color. I could change, I lost my, right, I can make this Times New Roman. I can do all kinds of cool things. And so it's all squished really because of the changes I made in my axes. So I'm just going to have to come back here. And I want my data labels in here. So I'm going to just spread this out a little bit. I'm going to make this an 8. Oh, that made that a little better. I might have to adjust this. That's okay. Maybe I want to add data labels to my blue data, the density. So I just click on it, click on Add Element, Add Data Labels, and again I can say where I want them, and I can kind of play around. Right? So there's the left. That doesn't look too terrible. I could make it to the right. Right? Make it above, make it below. Right? Any of those seem to be okay. I could do data callouts. I actually never like how that looks. I could have it centered, which I never think that looks particularly good either. So here I'm going to have them to the right. And click on them. And I'm going to go in. I'm going to make these smaller. And because it's the blue dots, I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to make it blue. So it matches my dots. So it makes it a little easier to read. And now I can see a little better why this might be an outlier. Here's the numbers of the others. Right? And I'm not going to put data labels on the volume because I'm not. I don't have to. Right? All right, so now I think we hit everything on here. So how about the legend, right? So we added a legend and we put it on the bottom, but we can also do other things with the legend. So we can come in here and we can click on the legend, and right, we can put it in different places. Put it to the left, which looks hideous. Right, top right, which looks hideous also. I usually end up with it actually on the bottom. You can say show the legend without overlapping, but this was already checked, right? And it still looked hideous. I can come in here and I can change the text. Can make this Times New Roman. Makes it all Times New Roman. Right? So I have lots of different options. I can actually come in here now. Oops. I might have to come in here. Gee, do I have the superscript option? Oh, I do have the superscript option. There it is. Right, so here I could have, instead of cubic centimeters, I can have centimeters and then cubed, right, and just like I would do in another one, right, I can do the 3, come over here, right, and make it a superscript. Right. So I just need to use this area opposed to, right, oh, I don't remember even where we were in the previous one, but it wouldn't let me do superscripts. So I might be able to come in over here, right? Maybe not. Oh, I could format the data set. I can do the legend entry, right? So I could have, I don't even know what some of this does. Oh, how about if can I fill it? Might be pretty hideous. Oh God, that was horrible. No, it just was that data set. So, oh well, we don't want to no fill, no line. There we go. Oh, that's better. Whoa, easy to make graphs look hideous. So there's a fine line between making things look professional and making them look hideous. Right? So this is some of the stuff that we did. We could also drag, just like we could drag titles around, we can drag our legend around because right, we click on it, it's highlighted, we can drag it around, but pretty much it belongs on the bottom. We can do some other crazy things, right? There are some chart style options that are, again, defaults, and that means that we can come in here and click on this, goes right to the design, right? And it lets us do some fancy schmancy, right, default Excel things. So Microsoft's idea of what graphs look like. Sometimes they're okay. Whoa. Sometimes they're just hideous. Right? So you can fool around with it, but frankly, I just always end up just doing it myself because I don't think that Microsoft is always good, at least about scientific kind of data. Right, and then I can also come in here and I can change other colors, right? So I can change other colors, so colorful palettes, right? So I can change that color, right? I can change, oh, I don't even know what this was. Oh, this is the volume, right? I can come in here. This was blue, but we changed it at some point, right? So I can make it blue again. Just like a little shortcut coloring. I can even make these different colors, all kinds of stuff. But like I said, we don't want to necessarily go crazy. It's sometimes less is more. All right. And then I'm just going to remind you again about how to create a secondary y-axis. We just touched on it really last time, but I believe in this week's lab you'll have to create a secondary y-axis, so it helps again to see how to do that. Again, right, we pretty much want a secondary axis only. We have to have two sets of data, of y data, right? And they should be in different ranges so that, just like what we saw last time, right? That maybe our data is kind of stuck in the bottom because it's such a smaller value, right, relative to the others. So let's revisit how we did that, why we have all these crazy pictures and stuff. All right, so, oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to come over here. I'm going to come in, well, we already have a secondary axis on this, right, but maybe I'll switch them. I don't know. So I can click on density, right? It says secondary axis. I'm going to put it on the, I could put it on the primary axis. But that's pretty hideous. Secondary axis. And look, then I lost my title again when I did that. So I'm just going to go through and undo, because undo is the world's greatest idea from Microsoft. It was probably an Apple idea. So again, right, I can do it on all kinds of data, any graph. Don't remember if our old graphs had. Oh, it did. We always lost our. Whoops. Ah. So we can just, again, click on the data point, right click, and or you can left click, and it'll let you plot the series on the primary or the secondary. So same thing here. So these are on the primary. All right. And that brings us to our curve fitting, and we did a little bit of this last time, so we're going to start off again with doing that kind of thing. So we're going to come in, right? And we're going to go back into design, or we can just click on here, chart elements, right? And I want to create a trend line, and I'm going to have that one be a linear trend line. And you go, that's exciting. Right? And it's for my mass, and I can click on it, and I can say format trend line. Oh, look, it actually popped up here, right? So I can do some fancy things, and one of them is display the equation. Oh, I don't really like where my equation ended up, so I can just drag it. And since it goes with the mass and it's not labeled, I'm just going to change this so that the text is gray. Can't really tell that it's gray. Come on. There we go. Gonna make it gray. Make it a little darker gray. Right, so that I can remember that that goes with that. So 35.996, that's the slope. 101, that's the y-intercept. I could decide that maybe it's not really a linear. Maybe it's exponential. And it didn't change too much on my graph, but we noticed that the equation changed. Can make it logarithmic. Can make it a second order polynomial. Right, so that's why it's a number times x squared, a number times x, and then minus constant. It could be a power, meaning times x raised to some power. It's basically power to the half. Right? Moving average, but we'll stick with linear for this one. For the blue, right, I can go in and do my trend line for my blue. But gee, I don't know that it's really a linear fit like this. Let's see what else we have that could possibly go through more data points. Maybe it's more of an exponential or polynomial, third order polynomial, fourth order polynomial. Whoa! Well, that might be a good fit, but it is pretty hideous. Fifth order polynomial. So, could be a third order polynomial. It does seem to have some interesting characteristics that don't seem to be quite linear. I did just make up the data after all, so I could set my y-intercept to 0. Right? I could make it a different value. I don't know, I'll make it a different value, so may or may not go through 0. I don't know, I'll make it 1 just for fun. And all it will do will change my equation. So there's my, whoops, where's my equation? Oh, there it is. I see it. All right, here's my crazy equation. I forgot it was a third order polynomial. Might need to move it. So here's my y-intercept. I forced it to be 1. I just did that to show you that I could force it to be 1. Could also have it not be 1. Looks like it's not really 1. It's not even close to 1. Just wanted to show you that I could do that. Right? And so there's this equation. I could go in, since this is my blue data, I'm going to highlight it. And I could also change these values as well. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to make it blue so that I remember that it goes with my density. Right? It tells you here, but if you had all linear fits, it might be a little difficult to see which is which, so I just like to color code them. You notice that on here was another option, right, which was display the R squared value. So this is the variance accounted for by your fit. Oh, Where's my fit? Where is it? Where'd it go? Huh, where did it go? Come on. Make sure I'm on that. Yep, there's the poly. Yeah, I could also customize it, so I should have an R squared value. Oh, I wonder if it's behind here. Nope, I don't know where it is. I'm gonna move this. Well, I don't know where my R squared value went. Here, we'll go up to our linear fit. There's our equation. Now we can do R squared. There it is. Where the other one went? So there's my R squared value. Doesn't look like it's a particularly good fit, actually. So I could go in and I could just try some other fits to see if my R squared values goes up. It's a very statistics-oriented kind of thing. Whoops, no, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Yep, linear. So I could try, we'll try exponential. Nope, still doesn't seem to be a particularly good fit. Oh, that's a little better at least, second order polynomial. And so we could actually play around with our fit to see if it gets better. Right? Looking at R squared. We're not going to go into a whole lot of that kind of thing. You just need to be able to actually get it to show up on your graph. That's all we're really looking for here. Nothing, we're not teaching statistics today. And then, like last time, we did some pasting and printing, and we're just going to review that again as well, just because it's a good idea. So these are the ones that we graphed last time. So we're just going to do it again, just because it's going to be fun. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab my crazy looking graph. Gonna make sure I got the whole thing. Control copy. Let's come in here. All right, I'm going to change this just so it ends up being aligned to my, and then paste. And I have, again, lots of options for pasting. There's one version, right? Here's another version. Looks kind of the same, right? They all look kind of the same, except for maybe, whoops, this one, don't do a picture if you can help it. And then I can come in and do my table, and I'll just remind you how we did that. Oh, I was going to print this. So file, right? I can print, and I'll print it as a PDF, and that'll just print this graph because I selected it. Or I can come, oh, no, cancel. Or I can come in here, highlight my graph. I can copy this and again paste it in here. When I do that, when I want to look at how they look, right, keep source formatting is the most common that you'll accept. Not this, because this just looks like I made it in Word, so why would I have made it all in Excel and made it pretty? And then I can print from my spreadsheet just this table as a PDF. Go to File, go to Print. The default is always Print Active Sheets. And look, I have a lot of stuff in here. And why is it all on one page? Because I said fit all on one page. But I don't want to print all of that. What I want to print in this case is just my selection for my table. And so that's what I'm going to print, right? I could change my orientation. So instead of a portrait, I could make it a landscape PDF. There we go. Because maybe that looks better. I have margins, right? I can, again, do some things, right? I can have no scaling. Probably no scaling doesn't make any difference on this one because it's not a particularly large graph. And then I could just hit print, right? And it's going to ask you to save it, just like the graph. But I don't want to save it right now, so I'm not going to save it. And next week, it's going to be about combining all the things that we did in weeks 1 through 6. So creating our document with headers, right? We're going to be talking about the elements of a technical report, what kinds of things you should have in your technical report, and then we're going to talk about inserting figures, tables, creating a table of contents so that we can make things look really super professional. You can impress your employer and your professors. So that's up next week, and that'll be our very last lecture, right? And our last quiz is also next week, and that's it. You should have also started your data collection. So you should have picked out which project you want from inside Brightspace, right? And that means, because you can't just show up on next week, right? And week 7 and do your project because you're going to have to collect data outside of class. So anyway, that's it. So that's the last thing that you need to think about.